In fact, when you're in a healthy relationship, sex is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Here are 10 reasons why. If you're stressed, sex may be the last thing on your mind. But if you can get in the mood, sex is a great stress reliever. The act of sex floods your brain with all sorts of feel-good chemicals while reducing the stress hormone cortisol. Dopamine, which impacts the brain's pleasure and reward centers, endorphins, which can reduce pain and stress, and oxytocin, also known as the cuddle hormone, are all released during sex, with higher levels after orgasm. Oxytocin promotes feelings of well-being and happiness. And you don't have to boink like bunnies to feel that way. A study of 30,000 American men and women between 1989 and 2012 found that having sex at least once a week in a committed relationship was enough to make people happy. It's more than the coital act that brings benefits. Studies of older adults found that holding hands, hugging, kissing, and mutual stroking also contribute to a greater quality of life. Getting it on can ward off depression, too. Studies show that men and women who have intercourse with their partners have greater satisfaction with their mental health. Unfortunately, the benefits didn't extend to masturbation. But the boost doesn't appear to work for casual sex or hookups. One study of nearly 7,500 U.S. college students across 14 public universities found that those who had more hookups had lower levels of happiness and self-esteem, and higher levels of depression and anxiety. In contrast to the notion that men are more likely to be okay with casual sex, the researchers found no differences between the sexes. Prolactin, a hormone that relaxes you, is also released after an orgasm. The combination of prolactin and all the rest of the feel-good hormones are why most people sleep better after sex. To get the highest amount of prolactin, science suggests having an orgasm with a partner if possible. Research shows that the level of prolactin in both men and women after intercourse can be 400% greater than that following masturbation. Unfortunately, sleep deprivation, which affects a third of Americans, can also impact sexual satisfaction. A study of nearly 10,000 women ages 50 to 79 found that those who got fewer than 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night were less likely to be sexually active. The older the woman, the more likely she was to report less sex when sleep deprived. Woman sleeping. Sacrificing sleep? Here's what it will do to your health. According to a 2015 study, women who got a good night's sleep were more likely to experience sexual desire the next day. In fact, a 1-hour increase in sleep duration correlated to a 14% increase in the odds that a woman would engage in sex with her partner. And researchers at Walter Reed Army Hospital found that using a CPAP machine, a breathing apparatus used to correct sleep apnea, improved sexual function and satisfaction for all men in their study but was especially helpful to those with erectile dysfunction. Researchers at Pennsylvania's Wilkes University asked U.S. college students how often they had sex each week and then compared the levels of immunoglobulin A, an antibody that functions as the body's first line of defense, in their saliva. Heart-safe sex bed couple. Reasons for avoiding sex are often treatable. Students who had sex once or twice a week had the highest levels of immunoglobulin A, 30% higher than those who had no sex, but also those who had sex 3 or more times a week. In addition, students who were in longer-term, satisfying relationships had the highest levels of the antibody. That makes sense when you consider research on social support and the immune system. Good news for men: frequent ejaculation appears to be linked to a lower risk for prostate cancer. A 2004 study published in the British Medical Journal studied the sex life of over 50,000 American males between the ages of 40 and 75. Men reporting 21 or more ejaculations a month were less likely to get prostate cancer than men who ejaculated 4 to 7 times a month. A follow-up study published in 2016 showed the same results. Men who make love at least 2 times a week are 45% less likely to have heart disease than men who have sex only once a month or less, according to a study by the New England Research Institute. The 17-year study, which began in 1987, tracked the sex lives of over 1,000 men aged 40 to 70. The researchers eliminated other risk factors from the results, such as age, weight, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Women also reap the heart-healthy benefits of sex. A 2016 study found that women who said they had frequent, extremely satisfying sex had a lower risk of hypertension, a common precursor to heart disease. Good sexual quality may protect older women from cardiovascular risk in later life, said study author Hui Liu, an associate professor of sociology at Michigan State University. That makes sense, said sex and relationship educator Laura Berman, because of the way women view their sexual relationships. It's not so much the number of orgasms or how vigorous the sexual experience that predicts a woman's sexual satisfaction, Berman said. It's how close she feels to the person she is having sex with, through kissing and cuddling as well as orgasms. That is the key to her emotional and physical well-being, which benefits her health and her heart and everything else. A series of 4 studies of committed couples in the United States and Switzerland found that having sex created more affection, not only in the moments after sexual intimacy but hours later, even in couples with children or those married long past the honeymoon period. Moreover, for couples who felt more affection after sex, the effects were still evident 6 months later. The more overall sex they had, the more affection; the less sex they had, the less positive affection, said clinical psychologist Annick Debrat of the University of Lausanne in Switzerland, who led the study. And the sex didn't have to be intercourse for there to be positive effects, Debrat said. Moments that were experienced as erotic or sexually arousing were just as predictive of positive emotions. Studies show that keeping your sex life active into old age protects and even improves your brain's executive functioning and recall. Analyzing data from the English longitudinal study of aging, British researchers found that sexually active men between the ages 50 and 89 had increased cognitive function, as measured by number sequencing and word recall, even after adjusting for quality of life, loneliness, depression, and physical activity. Women had the same benefit from sex for memory but not number sequencing. Both men and women who were more sexually active did better on the test than those who had less sex. Studies have found that sexual activity can reduce menstrual cramps, chronic back and leg pain, even migraines. A 2013 survey of 1,000 German headache sufferers found that 30% of those with cluster headaches and 60% of those with migraines reported partial or total relief of their pain if they had sex during an episode. Orgasm researcher Barry Komisarek of Rutgers University points to research that states the sensory input produced by vaginal stimulation produces a powerful analgesic effect and that he says does not interfere with tactile sensitivity. In a study Komisarek co-authored with Rutgers sex researcher Beverly Whipple, who coined the term G-spot, they found that the pressure of pleasurable vaginal stimulation increased pain tolerance by 40%. When the women came to orgasm, their pain tolerance increased by nearly 75%. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe to see more.